Let's see if we're live and direct. Let's see. Yes, it looks like the stream is powering up. It looks like it's working. It looks like we're live and direct by the sounds of things. It's just sort of loading in on my side. Yes, I'm getting image and sounds of things. Yeah, I'm getting sound now. I'm getting everything coming through, so we're good. We're live and direct. So welcome back to another stream, and welcome back to another FL Studio stream. So today I'm kind of ticking off a little bit of a bucket list, or should I say more a to-do list with this one. So this is not finished yet. This is still in the works, but I wanted to come live and sort of show you kind of what I've got so far. There's still a few bits and bobs. Pardon, sorry. There's there's still a few bits and bobs that I do need to do to this track. It's I've done I'd say I've done probably like a good 70% of actually like making the track. So making the track is like nearly finished, and then it'll be like, you know, switching things up and adding things up and changing things and getting it to that final. Do you know what? I'm happy with this. So today I first started this yesterday. Believe it or not, I started this last night. It was something that I've wanted to do for a while, and for whatever reason, I've just put it off and put it off, and then I've kind of thought, you know what, I want to do this, and then I forget about it again, and then I thought, you know what, I must do this, I must do that, and then I forget about it, and then you know, again, so many months later on, you know what, I should go back and redo this, and now I've finally done it. So, if you are quite an old subscriber of the YouTube channel, you'll know that just nearly 2 years ago, I did one of my first ever bounce tracks, and it was my first ever bounce track that ever sort of like got put out there. So we put it on Layman Productions as a free download, and it was a track entitled "A Lonely Sex Shooter," and it was a mashup of two tracks. The first track being the famous Tom Craft with his house tune "Loneliness" that was signed to Ministry of Sound's Data Records back in the day. It was an absolute hit. It was you know, it was absolutely smashed it back in the day, and it's a timeless dance classic. And then the other one was a remix of Firefox "Sex Shooter," which is a cover of an even older track called "Sex Shooter," and Firefox just re-sang it, and it got turned into like a kind of like a sort of a noughties, sort of funky house era kind of styled beat, and it was just a really good tune. And about 2 years ago, I did a mashup of both the tracks and turned it into like a bounce mashup, and it was a good track. It did well. I did well with the track for, you know, for its time. Obviously, back then I was like still very you know, very basic with production. I'd only just really sort of started delving into like bounce things, and there was bounce projects that just weren't good enough to put out there. And the Lonely Sex Shooter was one where Layman said, you know what, I actually like this, you've done well with this one. And for me, it was that initial change where I did somewhat feel like I had started to somewhat improve with making sort of like bounce tunes and getting sort of like more into it. However, the tune is very outdated, and if you listen to it now, it does indeed sound very flat to a lot of the stuff that I'm making nowadays, and there was a lot of errors with it. You know, I did this sort of the beginning, I think it was like January 2022 or something. It was like late January when it came out, so I was probably working on it like late 2021, and just, you know, I remember there being like a few different stages of versions of the track, and you know, I kept sort of bringing it back to Layman and saying I've done some updates, and I know he sat round at my house once and said you should add this and add this, and you know, he helped me very much with the track back then as well. And obviously, just like I say now, it just sounds very outdated. So I've always wanted to go back and remake this track and do like an updated version of it, because I always still feel that the track has like really good potential to be like a dance floor slammer. It's a little bit of a different vibe with it being a mashup of the two tracks, because it very much sounds like Tomcraft Loneliness, but then you've got that like different vocal over the top of it, and the vocal is quite a unique vocal that you don't hear people remixing all the time. And it was just something for me that I always, I really enjoyed the first version that I'd made, and I just know now, obviously, I could go back and do a better version. So yesterday, I decided that it was time to finally have a go and have a crack at making a better version. Now, when I say a better version, there was a lot of features of the old version that I actually liked, that I've taken the inspiration for this version. So there's a few things out of the original version that I did that I've kind of thought, I still want to sort of have that in the newer version. And I suppose in a way the whole vibe of doing the newer version was just to make it sound a little bit more banging, and just to make it sound a little like less flat, because there was a really good vibe to the original one, but it didn't sound like it was coming through like powerful enough through speakers, and everything just sounded like a little bit too flat. Like the bass was just a bit too flat, and the kicks and percussion were just a little bit flat. But there was some sort of like really good sort of like features in the original version that I thought, let's bring it over to the new version. So without further ado, I'm going to give you a little preview of what I've done so far, and I will warn you now before we press play that it might sound absolutely shocking, because not the track itself, but for whatever reason the CPU, you can see at the top of the screen, if I put the mouse here, you can see this little green bar that like keeps moving. And for whatever reason, if I'm using FL Studio and I've got like other tabs open, for whatever reason, it starts making the project, it starts making the FL Studio lag. So there's like little bits of like lag and like cutting in and out, and especially at parts of the track where there's like lots of things in. So for example, like over here, where there's like everything in, where you've got kind of like, all the kicks, the claps, and you've got the bass, and then you've got all the full melodies, and you've got everything happening. It just seems to, for some reason, it just seems to send the CPU like just over the roof, and it just makes this like real bad lagging sound. So if that does happen, I do apologise. Hopefully it doesn't, but have a listen and tell me obviously what you think.
Come on, kiss the gun. I need get me off on your bomb, getting ready to explode. I need you to get me off, be your slave, do anything I'm told. I need you to get me off on your bomb, getting ready to explode. I need you to get me off, be your slave, do anything I'm told. I'm a sex shooter, shooting love in your direction. I'm a sex shooter, come and play with my affections. Come on, kiss the gun. 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 I'm a sex shooter, shooting love in your direction. I'm a sex shooter, coming a sex shooter, shooting love in your direction. I'm a shooter, come and play with my affection. Come on, kiss the gun. I need you to pull my trigger, babe. I can't do it alone. I need you to be my main thing, plaything, killer stone. I need you to pull my trigger, babe. I can't do it alone. I need you to be my main thing, plaything, killer stone.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave that there because it was lagging at times there, so I do apologise about that. But that is my 2023 update of a lonely sex shooter, and it already just sounds so much better to the original. It just has a lot more going on. It just sounds more banging. It doesn't like sound as flat, and it just has some like really good features to it, like what I'm really enjoying doing at the moment, and I don't know, I think I said it on a previous stream, is I'm really getting the vocals to like just come through on like a really nice level. The vocals, like I'm adding like effects to the vocals and stuff now, like reverb and stuff, and on some of the vocals when I'm adding reverb, it's just changing the whole entire like feel of the vocal, and everything just sounds a little bit more warm, because sometimes you'll have like a vocal and it'll sound quite dry, and sometimes it'll sound like some of the words just cut off, and then when you add like reverb, it kind of almost adds like a little echo to like some of the words, and it almost like extends it, and it just adds like so much more power to the vocal. So I'll show you exactly what I mean. So what I'll do is I think if I go down here, so you can see here that this is where the first verse starts. So I'm gonna mute everything apart from the vocal, okay? And this is with effects on it. So this is all the reverb. It's got sausage fattener on it. It's got a little bit of EQ on it, and it sounds like this.
I need you to get me off. I'm your bomb getting ready to explode.
Like that, and you can hear that like echo in it. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna open up the mixer, and I'm gonna turn the effects off. So let me go to the mixer. So again, so this is with it on.
I need you to get me off. I'm your bomb getting ready to explode.
And then I'm gonna turn the effects off.
I need you to get me off. I'm your bomb getting ready to explode.
And that is with it off. So that is like the vocal on its own, as you can obviously see. So what I'll do is I'll add the reverb back on.
I need you to get me off. I'm your bomb getting ready to explode. I need you to get me off. Be your slave, do anything I'm told. I need you to get me off. I'm your bomb getting ready to explode. I need you to get me off. Be your slave, do anything I'm told.
So you can just tell there that when it's obviously got the effects on it, it just sounds so much more better. It just adds to it. But for some reason the vocal actually didn't sound too bad without the effects on. Like, it sounded better than I thought it was gonna do, and I didn't think it did originally. So I don't know if there's like another effect somewhere, for whatever reason that just doesn't, for whatever reason, is making it sound as good as it is, because it didn't actually sound too bad. But I still prefer it, obviously with the effects on. But I thought I'm sure when I first got it, it sounded a lot drier. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can find the like the file location for the acapella, because I had to hunt for this one. I thought I was going to have to find it on the web. Luckily, there it was, in an old folder. So I still had it on the PC. I thought, please don't be something that had gone missing in the crash, when the computer had crashed. But let's see if I can play you the original. So it's just here. So it's in the On Point acapellas. So I've got like a big folder. It's got loads of them in. It's got some good ones in. Check this. So this should just play on its own now. Like,
I need you to get me off. I'm your bomb getting ready to explode.
so yeah, there it is. So it does sound a little bit flatter, but the effects have obviously just added to it. So that was a good thing. So another thing that I've also changed, like sort of from the original, is I've added this really nice little like breakdown sub bass, and I've been adding this in a lot of my recent tracks on the breakdowns, and it just adds like a really nice sound to it. I love it's the same sound as what I've been using on the other tracks, but it creates like a really nice bass sound, and playing different notes in this sound just sounds really good. So I'll play you this on its own. So that sounds like that, and that just gives off a really good bit of vibe as well. Down here, I've got like a string, and the string plays on its own. So the string plays like this. I think it might actually be in the wrong key. Let's have a quick check. 2 seconds. What does so it starts in so it starts in the D minor. So actually I need to move this. Right, it should sound like this. I think is that correct? Is it? No, it's not correct. Silly me. I need to go. I need to go down to the next. I need to go down to the next. There we go. So this just plays on its own. It's just one long continuous string, and essentially it just adds a little bit of ambient sound. Like, it just adds a little bit more to the breakdown. Just a real little sound there. It's not doing like it's not doing loads, but it's just there. Like like it's enough to be noticeable, and it's enough just to give like a nice vibe to it. So it just literally does that, and then when you play it in the breakdown, you don't instantly hear it, but then when you actually really listen and think about it, you know it's there.
A sex shooter, shooting love in your direction. I'm a sex shooter, come and play with my affections. Come on, kiss the gun.
So there you go. So there's that bit there, and then obviously we've got the melodies. So there's two melodies. There's two melodies with two different sounds. So there's like a top melody and then a top lead. So we've got the lead that sounds like this, like that, and then if we go over and play the top melody, so the top melody has a little bit more of a like trancey vibe to it. So if I go ahead and isolate these on their own, but I'll have to turn some of the automation back on. So you can obviously creates like one really sort of like bigger like lead sound that just sounds absolutely amazing. Now everything's just kind of froze again, you know, as it does. So we'll put everything back on. So the next thing I want to say about is just this little bit at the beginning here. So you're probably wondering like what are these sounds? Well, check this out. So that is the sound effect, and you're probably thinking, I recognise that, I've heard that sound before, and the sound itself, it actually comes from the original club version of Tom Craft Loneliness. It's in the original version of Tom Craft Loneliness, and it's a little sound effect, so it sounds like this. So that is essentially from the original track, and I added this into the original version of my Lonely Sex Shooter, and it was one thing that I always liked, and even like at the time when I made the track, and you know, I sent it to some people and I said, what do you think of this? And you know, at the time they told me, like, you know, it sounds a bit flat, that, you know, it needs more to it. But one thing that they did say was that they liked that I took this little sample from the Tom Craft Loneliness from the, you know, original version, and sort of put it in as a little bit of an effect. So I wanted to do that again when I obviously, you know, was making this version. Another thing I've added is this little dinky riff that just sort of follows the pattern of the normal melody. I don't know if it's going to play or not. Yeah. It's just there in the background. It doesn't really do all too much, but it's just there, and it doesn't sound too bad. I quite like the vibe of it, so I was quite sort of, yeah, I like this, let's do it kind of thing. Where's the thingy? There it is, so I can zoom back in and out. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I can really show you. There's some like little woo sound effects. So some little woos. Again, so, little sound effects here. That just sits there on the breakdown, and then there's obviously the main build-ups and everything. The build-up, I've gone for a build-up that I've already used, just because since the computer crash I've been lacking in getting some packs back at the moment. So I probably will get another pack before I finish this, and I'll make sure that I change the little build up, but it doesn't sound too bad. Doesn't sound like too noticeable that I've used it in another track, just because sort of like having the sort of like "Come On Kiss the Gun" vocals and all the other bits and bobs happening, sort of like disguises a lot of the just actual build up on its own, and makes it sound a little bit unique, even though it is actually something that I've already used. And yeah, so I think apart from that, there isn't really too much more to really mention about. I mean, there's you've got the donk, obviously, that is. The donk just follows the melody. I thought that was a really good idea with this one. I did that on the original as well. And then there's this little sub bass. So that obviously sits there, which is really nice, as you can obviously see. And then all together, you've got the, if I just, there we go. And then what we'll do is we'll so we'll put these on, and then I'll just play you these on their own. So what all the percussion, and then so there we go. So that literally is what like the bass sounds like. So it's kind of got a little bit of an harder bass to it than what I used in the original track, but it still kind of has a little bit of a, it kind of almost has like a little bit of a Russian sort of bounce kind of sound to it nearly. So it doesn't sound too bad. So yeah, at the moment, like I'm pretty happy with how this is going. I'm pretty happy with how it's sounding. So yeah, so this is my remix of A Lonely Sex Shooter. It's my updated version. Like I say, I did the first one. I think I started it somewhere around late 2021. It was late 2021 when I like first started getting booked with Bounce to Your Drop, and that was kind of when I got like right into the bounce side of things, and that was kind of where everything sort of like went on from there. So obviously I would have been working on it, and then obviously sort of early 2022 we put it out there on Layman Productions. It was my first ever sort of what I classed at the time officially finished bounce remix, and yeah, got some nice reviews and some constructive criticism, and now I've come back and done an updated version of it. So here we go. There you go. So make sure to like, comment, share. We'll see you next time.